Up with Jordan and Ron.
Hi, welcome to Hooking Up with Jordan and Ron. I'm Jordan.
I'm Ron.
And we're going to help you learn a little more today about making friends or making adult friends in the modern world. We have a very special guest today, my sister, Colby.
Yay,
Colby!
Hi.
And so it'll be interesting to see if you can hear us apart or tell us apart.
Yes.
You know? Colby is a person extraordinaire and doing all the things all the time, including being an awesome friend to her friends. And so she's going to help us learn how to be a great friend and a great mom. How do you do it? I don't know. I am not a great friend and a great mom. I'm a good mom to my cats, who are not people, and I'm a great friend to my friends. That's what I got. How about you? How do you do it?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know, but thank you. That's a great compliment.
You're welcome.
And a wonderful compliment to be invited to come speak about this. And yes, doing all the things. I like the term, I learned this from someone, I guess a couple years ago, richly scheduled.
Oh.
It's a major positive spin instead of saying I'm busy. Because I'm busy by choice. I'm not busy because someone's making me busy. I'm doing things.
When your hair's not on fire.
Correct.
Yeah. You're not like,
I mean, sometimes I feel like that, but we figure it out.
Yeah.
So making and keeping friends into motherhood. This is a big thing. So I'm Jordan's sister, Colby, and I have 2 children. I have a 6-year-old, just turned 6, and a 3-year-old. She'll be 4 in August. And I will say that after having my first baby, so this is 6 years ago, I had just a crisis of self. Who the heck am I? Because I was in my mid-30s when I had my first child.
Yeah.
I'm 40 now. I just turned 40. And when you have little kids, but you're also older, you've experienced a lot of life before they were here. So I built a whole career before I had kids.
Yep.
I went to grad school, and my husband and I were married for a long time before we had children. So you really get into a different rhythm, and you have a whole self-identity. And then that world just gets turned upside down completely when you have a baby. Because you have a baby, and you're completely invested in this other little person. Someone once said, as soon as you get pregnant even, you're never alone in your head again. And I really take that to heart because there's just this consciousness about all of them at the same time as what else I'm doing. And it's an interesting feeling. I will say going on vacation without them for an extended period of time is a really helpful way.
Which is happening tomorrow.
It is happening tomorrow. We're going away for 7 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really helpful to forget that they exist just for a little bit. And it's nice. It's really important. It's an important thing to do.
Yeah.
So if you're fortunate enough to do that, I recommend it. But yeah, the crisis of self is really hard. Like, who am I? I'm a spouse. I am myself as an individual. I am also this parent to this helpless little creature that needs a lot of care. And are we going to do this right? And oh my goodness, it's just a lot. And also, I'm a friend. I'm used to having all this time in the world to go out every night and meet someone for a hike or go out to dinner or go do this. And then all of a sudden you think, I can continue this in the same way. And you really can't. It's not a thing. It's like the whole having it all. Like this is a myth. Having it all is a myth.
Okay.
Something's got to give. There are only 24 hours in a day.
Sure.
There's only so much bandwidth. So you got to have some tools in place to help you because the spur of the moment meetups don't happen anymore.
Yeah. Hey, let's grab a drink.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's not a thing.
Okay.
And also I can be out as late as I want. No. Because you might be tired or you might have to take care of this
and
person.
Get up and take care of humans.
Exactly. There's just a lot. Plus, you also probably still have a job.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or I can be there on time.
Oh, no, it's tough. It's but you're pretty good about that usually. And it sounds like
timeliness. I feel like I have a 15-minute buffer for most things. There's a confidence interval to timely arrival. Like what does on time mean? It's not like an hour, but I would say,
wonder if
probably
Dad
like a
would agree with that.
15-minute buffer is
That's
generally
funny.
where I consider on time.
I'm going to start to implement that and say that it was like something you helped regulate.
It's the confidence interval.
Yeah, I think that's okay. That's a good
The
confidence.
confidence interval. Oh my gosh.
Because when you have some older friends and they're waiting,
I know,
going,
it's true.
Colby's never late for anything.
Well, you're early though, right, Ron? You're usually early.
Yeah.
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 You're like Dad. I keep wanting to say his name. We refer to Dad by his full name sometimes.
It's so funny.
It's fun.
Yeah, the arrival on time is a challenge. It gets harder when you have kids too, because you have this thing that you can't control. Like, it's even like having a pet. You know, if I try and take the dog out right before leaving the house, it could take 30 seconds.
Someone
it
might
could take
have a
5
mental
minutes.
breakdown and need a snack.
That is right. You can
Yeah.
have a child that has a tantrum, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you mentioned kind of the time increments and how to devote time. So when you think of friends, is this something that you and your husband talk a lot about? Like,
Yeah.
Does he have friends too? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Close friendships?
Yeah. So my husband, Rob, and I both devote a lot of time and energy to maintaining our friendships. We give each other a lot of space to go out in an evening, take a trip solo. So someone takes care of the kids by themselves for a weekend, and we do that as much as we can. I mean, we're afforded a lot of possibilities because we both are still working, and we're fortunate to have the capacity to go on a trip with our friends. But even things like phone calls and scheduling a FaceTime or going out with, meeting someone for a hike, it's prioritized. And I think the way that I think about it too is scheduling only a certain amount of time per week to really be away, because it also gets stressful. Like, I can't be out 5-6 nights a week.
No.
Because that's hard on the kids too.
Of course.
Maybe when they were little, they didn't care as much, honestly.
They didn't notice,
when they're a
maybe.
baby, they don't really know. Now they totally know, and they want someone to be home to do bedtime and not a babysitter. And I think something I had to get over really early on was letting other people be important adults or big kids, teenagers in your kids' lives.
Like trusting them?
Wow. And doing it early on.
Yeah.
So we got babysitters when the kids were infants, and I had a series of 14-year-olds come over and help. And I would be there, and they get used to the kids, and the kids get used to them, and they know how to take care of a baby, and that's really helpful. And then eventually you can leave, and the kids are used to this person. It's a person that knows your kid. It's a person that knows your house. And now they're old enough and they can drive our kids around, which is great. I love the fact
I live here now too.
And
so
Jordan lives here. I can do the same thing.
I think I've been informed that I'm going to have some car seats or similar items in my car soon.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
You get car seat duty.
I get to do the major challenge of getting them in and out, which is the hardest part, I've found.
It is.
For non-parents.
It can be hard. There's an impressive amount of thumb pressure that's required.
Oh my gosh.
Like, if you don't have really good thumb dexterity and power, you can't get a car seat to unlatch.
So I'll do that at the gym next week.
Yeah,
I'll
work
get
on
really
your
thumbs. Get some
exercises.
thumbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Good
need
to know.
video game power.
I'll do it.
Now, Colby, you also have a really great, important job, but it's very time consuming with a lot of trips back and forth to Lansing and a lot of work. And how do you find a way to balance work and kids and home and husband and social life? I mean, how do you maintain friendships? Is that because you're able to give yourself these breaks, or is there something else that goes into that? Or
That's a good question. I think it's a couple of things. So first is operationalizing it. A number of years ago, I don't know if I learned it from a podcast or something I read, but I made a list of friends. Make a friends list and assign each one a day of the week. So let's say you've got like 10 people in your life that you're like, these people are really important for me to maintain continuous contact with.
Okay.
Assign one to each day of the week, and obviously you're going to have to double up here and there. But I know that Tuesday is Sarah Day.
Really?
That I always send a message to Sarah on Tuesday. If we can schedule a call, cool. If not, I send a text message. Hey, I'm thinking about you. How you doing? And you at least, I mean, the modern technology is amazing. Text messaging, magical.
Yeah.
I think that has been, that really was helpful. I've gotten away from that
I like that.
I used to be a lot better on that. So I've gotten away from the list, but that really kickstarted it when I was having or feeling distant from people where things would be happening in their life or my life, and you have a phone call and you need 2 hours to catch up, which is a big ask in anybody's schedule. 2 hours is too much, or you think, I live 10 minutes from this person. How is it that we have dinner once a year? It's silly.
Right.
So you got to find a way to do those touch points as much as possible, even if it's just a message of, hey, I'm thinking about you. And you can see if you can put something on the calendar.
Wow.
That's also challenging because kids
Very
get sick.
cool.
So I've got like a 30% success rate on plans that actually happen, because it's like, oh, something happens, someone's kid gets sick, or like, I have a kid that's vomiting. Do you really want to see me? And you got to weigh the costs and benefits of that.
Right.
But the list, that was a big one. And then I was saying earlier on how many nights a week you can be out. So I think, Ron, that was an excellent question on the scheduling. So with my work, I'm sometimes out really late at night. And whether I need a babysitter or my husband Rob is around, I'm gone. And then I have to think, okay, how many other nights can I be gone?
Yeah.
And not feel like I'm away too much. And there are times like I just had a 7-day trip.
Ooh.
I was gone for a whole week and then came back and drove right from the airport to go see my friends. So I was actually gone for more than a week.
Yeah.
And I asked Rob, I was like, do you want me to stop by and say hi to the kids? And he's like, no, it's not. It's fine.
That's great.
You know,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
And the kids are used to this. This is something that happens.
Okay.
Like sometimes we travel, you FaceTime, but yeah, balancing the how many nights can I be away from home and still feel like I can center myself and getting everything done.
Right.
You know, is it 2 nights? Is it 4 nights? That's generally helpful.
Yeah. And then above and beyond that, you're also involved with theater and the schools and all those kinds of things. How do you, at some point, do you have to decide, I'm going to maintain friendships with these people and not going to maintain? Or how do you make new friends? I mean, if you meet all these new people doing, you know, a show that you might be choreographing or some school activity that you're working on, do you incorporate new friends as well, or do you limit that? Or how do you see that fitting in your life?
Ooh, that's tough. I think I benefit from being in a community that I grew up in. So there's a lot of people that I've known for a long time that if I don't see them or communicate with them on a weekly or biweekly basis, it's not a big deal.
Oh, okay.
That you just know that person and you are friends, and it's not the person that you're consistently spending time with.
Yeah.
But
Jump right back in.
you kind of jump right back into it. Yeah. And I think that makes a difference. And it's funny. I feel like there's this word seasons. It's people love this word these days. It's a season of life. Like, there's seasons of friendships.
My current season of my
my
44th year.
It's my season of my high school friends.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, you have different friends that you're identifying with at different times, you know, so you're doing a show and you're like really hot and heavy with those people. Like you're spending so much quality time with those people that some of your other things are going to fall off.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm not going to meet my other friend for a hike because I've got rehearsal or something else going on, and you're spending quality time with those people. But I think when that ends, then you kind of go back to your norm. And I wouldn't say it's like an intentional shift in people to spend quality time with at one time versus another. But I do think that there are friendships that require a lot of time because you also want that time and need that time with that person.
Sure.
Versus friendships where the base touch is great and you can see each other twice a year on a trip.
Sure. You kind of built that foundation or something.
Yeah.
I get that. I have friends like that too. That it depends on where you need to pick back up, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, and how much you need to really stay connected.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed in Ann Arbor in particular, because I haven't seen that in other places. When I lived in New York, I lived in Florida, I've lived in, other places, is that it seems to be very much like we make friendships here in Ann Arbor, whether it was because of the university or high schools or whatever, that you can not see for a while and then see them a year later and you pick up like, I've been talking to you all along, or because of Facebook or other social media, you just feel like you know what's kind of constantly going on. Do you find that happens as well?
Absolutely. It really, really does. And there's also people that you're like, oh man, I wish I had more hours in the day or more days in the week because I want to see this person more. I love being with this person.
It's like energizing.
Yeah.
Or, gives you a whole other like layer of life, and
But it just doesn't work. And I think it's also helpful to have friends that recognize that because their lives are like that too.
Sure.
And that's the whole thing with being a parent is if you have other friends who are also in that same situation with kids the similar age, or they're also richly scheduled. They get it. They get that you're busy, but appreciate that those base touches and the time that you do get together. Something that I find really valuable is one-on-one time. I wish I were better at group time with friends, but I find that I'm better at maintaining friendships when I can plan that dinner or that drink date or that walk or whatever it is that's quality time with that single person, and then you're focused on that.
Okay.
I was having dinner with a girlfriend a couple weeks ago, and she's like, how did 4 hours just pass? And I'm like,
wow.
I know.
Right.
Because she's just one of my people. Aww. And we can't do it all the time. We used to get together 3 days a week before we had kids. And now that's just not the reality.
That's so great.
But, you find your friend, you find your people, and everybody gets it. And you all wish you could be together more. But I think if you're really intentional about spending the energy to touch base and to make plans, and sometimes plans means leaving. It's sometimes easier to leave town, even if you live 10 minutes away from someone.
Sure, and get that concentrated time.
Yeah. Because if you've got a sick kid.
I have a couple friends like that. Yep.
If you got a sick kid, you're not going out to dinner. But if you had a flight scheduled, you're still going on that trip.
Right.
And someone else is taking care of your kid.
Right.
Okay.
You don't cancel the flight, but you cancel the dinner.
Sure.
And so sometimes it's easier to be like, let's go away for a weekend.
Right. I find myself doing that too. And actually, you and I, Colby, have done that.
Yep.
We've gone to Walt Disney World for a weekend and just, hung out without any of our friends around and had a great time. But
That
you don't
needs
do
to
that all
happen
the
this
time.
December.
I know. I was
Ben.
just going
Yeah,
to
we can
say
do that.
that's got to come up.
Yeah. If
Colby's going in August because she's so brave.
I know that is a
It's
brave
gonna
time
be a
to go
hot
because it's so hot. I never left my house in Florida during August, but it'll also won't be that crowded, which is nice.
I get to know all the water features
right.
at Disney.
So above and beyond all those things that you do, I happen to also know that you have some friends in high places.
Oh.
You know senators and you know governors and you know college presidents and their wives and partners. And
Yeah.
do you ever find that from a friend point of view of really trying to get to know those folks, the roles conflict at any point?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
Oh, interesting.
I don't find that they conflict, but I find that they converge.
Oh.
So because of my job, I'll have college presidents that I'm friends with. I work with them. I mean, they're the board of the organization that I'm on. So yes, they're my bosses basically. But we've also become friends. We share podcasts via text back and forth, have excellent conversations, share book recommendations. And I also work with staff at a lot of the colleges and universities. And that is a different relationship because I become friends with them too.
Sure.
But they're not friends with their boss.
Right. Oh, yeah, of course not.
So
yeah.
it's not the same. It's an interesting. I didn't really think about it that way, and then I
Okay.
talked to my boss about it,
Yep.
who I am also friends with, and he was like, "Oh yeah, of course, this makes sense. You know, if someone's 2 levels above you, you can't really have a friendship
Yeah.
with them in the same way, or it's not the same rapport
Sure.
that you have with someone that you're working as closely with."
That kind of reminds me of working in HR. Is and having relationships, maybe not friends per se, but even work relationships at
Correct.
different layers.
Yeah.
And like the thing about the other thing, and you can't really talk about the
Yep.
thing, and this, which is challenging, but it's a good thing to learn about. It's a
Totally.
good mechanical, thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Colbs, this is so helpful. Colbs, we call her Colbs.
Yeah.
When she's little. And Colbo. I'm so
What
glad
did
you're
they call
here.
Dordu.
Dordu. Colby
Doherty.
called me Dordu.
Dordu.
Yeah,
She's Aunt
Dordu.
Doherty.
Hooking up with Dordu and Ron.
Dordu and Juan.
I will say the number one thing with kids is really trust other people to take care of your kids.
Use your village.
Use your village.
Get a village.
It's important for them to have trusted adults and other big teenagers and whoever, big kids in their lives that aren't you. You are not the be-all, end-all as a parent, and you need to set the example as a parent on what a richly lived life is. And if you're not doing that, then your kids are not going to learn how to do that. So set that example and get out of the house.
That is a great,
I love
great,
it. Thank you so much, Colby.
Wisdom there. So we're going to have Colby back when our kids are teenagers.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that.
Man.
And just kidding.
If we're still doing this in 10 years, I'd be just elated.
Right? We want to thank Colby. We thank our listeners. We're getting more and more and more and more of you, like every episode.
Yeah,
so
keep
tell
it
your
coming.
friends. Keep coming. We're going to be setting up a email address, so you'll be able to email it. That'll be right
and
on our page.
Instagram and Facebook, all coming down the pike.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, and thank you, Colby, so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.